So we've chosen the right polar pattern on our microphone, we've chosen the best gain setting possible, and we've chosen the best file format for the situation that we're using right now. Now, let's talk about where to put this dang thing to make you sound as good as possible. If you're doing voiceover work, or you're making vlog-style videos, well, you can kind of just stick them right in front of your mouth. If you tend to have really loud P's, or when you listen back to it, you hear this sound, you may consider getting a windscreen. Many manufacturers of portable recorders will send a windscreen with them originally. I, of course, have lost the windscreen for this one over the years. But they can be a really handy tool, and if you don't want to have this big silver box in the screen here, then you can just get it out of sight, but then angle it up towards your face a little bit so that it's still picking up your voice as clearly as possible. Just for comparison, here's the camera microphone if I'm just speaking to the camera, and here's the zoom microphone if I'm using it for a voiceover instead. The next thing that I get a lot of questions about with my Zoom microphone is recording solo guitar. How to make it sound good if you're recording just a solo guitar and this is the only tool you have. You don't have any phantom-powered condenser microphones, you don't have an interface. You have a portable recorder and you want to get the best possible sound out of it. Let's talk about that. Portable microphones are actually really well disposed to record acoustic guitar, especially in the 90-degree polar pattern XY configuration, because that's how a lot of engineers choose to record acoustic guitars anyway. They just use two separate pencil condenser microphones and point them so that the diaphragms meet up like that. So the question is, how do we angle this little guy and position it to make it sound as good as, well, nearly as good as a studio recording? A common technique that a lot of producers like to use, and that has worked well for me in the past, is positioning it so that the diaphragms of the microphones are pointing directly at either the 12th fret or where the neck meets the body. We'll kind of angle for something in between there and see how this works out. It's worth mentioning for all of the positions that I'm about to show you that you might have to modify them a little bit to make them work for a video, that is to say to make the neck or your hands visible on the guitar, because people don't like it when the microphones cover up what you're doing. A placement that I periodically use to address that very issue is having the microphone right here, which is, it's kind of midway down the neck of the guitar, but it's pointing roughly towards this shoulder so that it's picking up all of the stuff that's kind of in this area of the guitar, which is similar to the first position. It's not quite as ideal from a sonic standpoint, but it does really effectively eliminate the guitar being in, the microphone being in the shot. So here's what this sounds like. Alright, so now the time has come to make a video where you're both singing and playing guitar, and you need both signals to be picked up by your portable microphone. My general rule of thumb is that you want the microphone to be about 4/5 of the way towards your mouth, if we're considering the sound hole and your mouth to be the two main sources of sound in this type of video. The guitar just, it it hits the microphone a lot more aggressively than your voice does, and generally speaking, you want your voice to be the main feature of a song that you're singing. You want the words to be intelligible. So it's important that the microphone is much closer to your mouth than it is to the guitar. It is enormously beneficial to move the mic up and down. Just try a couple of different spots, singing maybe the loudest and the softest part of the song, to find out what sounds the best and what offers the best balance before any sort of compression or anything like that is applied. So this is a placement here that is about what I've been describing. It is closer to my mouth than it is to the sound hole of the guitar. Although I've lowered it just a little bit for the visibility of my face, which is a real concern in videos, so that I don't look like this. I've lowered it, but then I've tilted it towards my face, just like I was doing in the voiceover portion at the beginning of the video, so that it is a little bit more biased towards my voice than it would otherwise be. So here's what this sounds like. Okay, so I was wrong about my reasons for us falling out of love. I want to fall back in. My life is different now, I swear. I know now what it means to care about somebody other than myself. The guitar really does come through, and especially if you add just a little bit of compression later on, it can work out really, really nicely. Just a couple other quick notes before we move on to the post-production phase. If you're working with two people, pretty much the exact same principle applies. You can click right here and see a video where I'm using this very microphone to record two people who are both singing and playing instruments. And proximity obviously is a huge deal with any microphone. So the same concept applies in terms of the height between the instrument and the voice. But in addition to that, you do have to do a little bit of natural mixing in the form of getting closer to or further away from the microphone, depending on how important what you are singing or playing at that particular moment is. Again, there's some things that you can do for that afterwards in the computer, but there's no replacement for something that's well performed and is performed in a natural way where you're using the microphone as volume control, essentially. If you're recording in a large ensemble of people and you only have something like this to work with, like in this video here, obviously proximity is still the name of the game. The lead singer is much closer to the microphone than anybody else in the mix. Things like percussion and bass are way, way back, and everybody kind of, if you have an important run or fill, you get closer to the microphone and then you move back away. It basically is an analog or I don't know, organic version of what engineers do when they're in the studio and they have a track that's just violin, for instance, and they push the fader up when an important violin moment happens, and then they bring it back down. It's the same thing where you just get closer and then you move away. So with that in mind, now that you've set your microphone right, you've recorded it in the best position possible, let's see how you can take the file that you've recorded, put it into the computer, and get the best sound that it's possible to get from one of these little things.